Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex Wilson, and thank you for joining me today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button below on YouTube. As always, my friends. Now, yesterday, Giants made some offensive line moves, and let me tell you something. Dave Gettleman last year did not draft an offensive lineman, barely made any acquisitions to help this offensive line. Half of them ended up retiring. They probably had some foresight. Dave Gettleman was going to ruin this team, ruin their careers. They were like, let me just retire already, not even waste my time with this garbage pile. But it seems like general manager Joe Shane, our new guy, is looking like he's making some low-key moves to help supplement the deficiencies on the offensive line. He already addressed this offseason, saying in his introductory press conference, offensive line is something we need to solve. And he did so on Monday, bringing in a couple new guys. I want to talk about them, show you guys a little film from them as well. And ultimately, when you're looking at the new signings for the Giants at this point, they're nothing special, but they do come from great teams. They do come from established teams that have obviously done a great job with coaching. And as we know, we stole Brian Dable, we stole a couple guys, Bobby Johnson, and they are familiar with a lot of these players. Bobby Johnson worked with John Feliciano, one of the Giants draft picks, in the past with the Las Vegas Raiders during his rookie contract. And I think that's really beneficial for the Giants ultimately. You have to have guys who are familiar with the coaching staff. I think it really, really helps. But I don't want to start with John Feliciano just yet. And if you aren't aware, they signed Glowinski from the Indianapolis Colts, and John Feliciano from the Buffalo Bills, who was kind of the reserve guy, playing a multitude of positions. But when we're looking at Mark Glowinski, who is this guy? What does he offer the Giants? Ultimately, I think Glowinski could be one of those under the radar signings. Dude has a freaking awesome beard if you're interested in that. Originally drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, fourth round back in 2015 out of West Virginia. He has 6'4", 310 pounds, and he's about to turn 30 years old. So by the time his contract ends, which is a 3-year, $20 million contract with $11.4 million guaranteed, he will be about 33 years old. But I'll tell you what, the contract the Giants signed him to is pretty damn impressive, right? So year one, Glowinski only has a $3.6 million cap hit. As we know, the Giants do not have a lot of money to spend to begin with. So they had to take a very conservative approach and make sure that they did not overwhelm the cap this year. What I like about the contract is that the biggest cap hit comes in year three when they have a really good opportunity to move on if they want to. And I guarantee you that they probably will. Year two, $7 million cap hit next season. Nothing crazy. It's not going to blow you out of the water. The Giants can manage that. They have a ton of money next season. They can open up a ton of money. I'm not so worried about that. Mark Glowinski can be their starting right guard for the next 2 seasons easily, if not 3 seasons. Year three, $7.5 million cap hit. But what makes this contract so great? After year two, the Giants can move on easily, save $5.7 million in cap space, and take on just $1.8 million in dead money. So we're talking about after year two, when the team ultimately, it times out well, right? Because if the Giants decide, hey, we don't want to go with Daniel Jones anymore, we'll bring in a rookie quarterback to really get his feet wet. It's going to take a year or two for them to get, accustomed and adapt to the NFL to begin with. So, Glowinski can be their starting right guard. They can move on. Maybe they draft somebody, supplement that. They can, cut him without much baggage, and $1.8 million in dead cap is nothing compared to the 5.7 they would save from just cutting him after year two. So the contract is great. But what makes Mark Glowinski a good player for the Giants? Now, taking a look at last year, he played 843 snaps at right guard. He predominantly plays right guard. He does have experience at left guard back in 2016 with Seattle, 1,058 snaps. He was okay. He's a better right guard, as I mentioned before. 843 snaps last year, 2 penalties, not bad at all. He's disciplined. He gave up 2 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, and 28 hurries, 38 total pressures per PFF. And when you're looking at his numbers, right, what I really liked about Glowinski's stats and what he really showed last season is that he got better as the year went on. The first 8 to 9 games were not great. He had a couple of good outings against Miami and Baltimore in weeks 4 and 5, played well. Did not play so well against Houston, San Francisco, 6 and 7. But the second week 9 came along, he just became an absolute monster. I don't know what happened. Maybe they shifted a scheme or something. Maybe they did something to help him out. I'm not exactly sure. But when you look at his numbers, he was an absolute freaking menace after week 9. He didn't give up a single sack or a hit for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games of the season, which is just ridiculous. So we didn't give up a single hit or sack. during that time span, which is tremendous. The first half of the season was kind of littered with stuff. He got 2 sacks in the first half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarterback hits in the first half, and then second half comes around, absolutely dominant run blocker, dominant pass blocker. So clearly the Giants saw something that the Colts did. Colts have a tremendous offensive line, great coaching staff. They saw something Glowinski was doing. Clearly the Colts figured out what his strengths were, and then they utilized that. So the Giants saw what they were doing, and they're probably going to try and replicate that this upcoming season, which I think is tremendous and a great idea if you're looking at maximizing a player's talent. He did pretty well in 2020 with Indianapolis, over 1,090 snaps at right guard. Pretty good pass blocker, decent run blocker. He's going to hold down the fort in the meantime, right? He's better than Will Hernandez at this point in time. And they're going to put together a group of guys who can compete and build chemistry and are high character too. And the next guy they brought in, obviously, is John Feliciano. John Feliciano is an interesting player, has a lot of experience with the Buffalo Bills, Joe Shane, and Brian Dable, of course. Fourth round pick out of Miami back in 2015. So these guys both drafted in the same year, 6'4", 325 pounds. Both Feliciano is known as a guard. He has a lot of experience at multiple positions, including left guard, center, and right guard. The Giants, however, signed him to be a center. Now, Feliciano went on Twitter and was basically like, I've been sitting behind guys making $11 million at center for years now. I'm ready for my opportunity. And I think, some of his best games actually came at center back in 2020. But he's also capable of playing both guard spots. So if you wanted to maneuver him around, you could do that. His best year came, I guess, really in 2019 when he played mostly at right guard for the Bills. 66.6 pass blocking grade, gave up 4 sacks and 4 hits. And really over in his entire career, he's only given up 5 sacks over 1,500 snaps at right guard and 700 at left guard. He's a pretty decent reserve guy. Now, I'm interested to see how he can perform as a center. I'm not exactly sure how he's going to be able to perform. But then again, you still have Nick Gates. Like what happens with Nick Gates when the Giants say, hey, like, is he healthy enough to really be a contributor? Now, of course, the leg injury is significant. Who knows what that's going to look like? But I want to show you guys a little bit of these clips here. It's pretty cool. This is Mark Glowinski actually pushing a freaking car because he's a beast. I mean, the dude's freaking jogging behind a car. That's absurd. Pretty insane that he's pulling that off. I mean, I guess maybe the car's transmission blew, or I don't know, ran out of gas. The dude's pushing the car. Look at him. He's a freaking tank, and he's athletic as hell. Let's look at some film here. Look at this. I mean, he's very athletic. He has a mean streak. You really like to see that. Look at him. He doesn't stop running. He's at right guard. He's moving guys in the pile. You can see, opening up big lanes for the running back. Really nice. The Colts have one of the best running games of football. Really good there. Nice pushing out of those defensive tackles out of the way. Let's see what else he's got. I mean, he's super athletic. You can see that there. He's fast, man. You saw him. He's pushing the car. He's a fast guy. I mean, this is nice. Look at that gap he opens up there. Really nice fundamentals, standing that defensive lineman straight up. He squeezes through the gaps really nicely to get to the second level, too. He's very fast if you watch him play, which I really like. Gets good leverage there against Vita Vea, a big defensive tackle, one of the best in the league. Really nice. And this is John Feliciano at center, a little clip here. Really nice. I mean, look at that. You see him coming around there. I don't know why, but his frame reminds me of John Feliciano specifically. But this is nice. I mean, look at the vision he has here. 32, I think it's Budda Baker. He's coming in off the edge there. Bam, watch him. Bam, just levels this man. That's really nice. So, again, like 2 offensive linemen, very, very connected to the Giants base. I mean, you can see how athletic Glowinski looks here. He's not this big bulbous guy with this massive heavy frame. He's a little bit taller. He's very athletic. I mean, he looks good there. Looks like a freaking Hulk. So I have to say, I think I'm really excited about these 2 draft picks. What are we going to expect from them? I wouldn't be overly optimistic because we're the Giants and we have to temper our expectations a little bit. But I do have to say, I'm very excited about what Joe Shane has done so far. Allocated a lot of attention towards the offensive line, which is a necessity. Hasn't overspent on any receivers or anything, position players the Giants have done in recent years. We've seen the Giants overspend at, Kyle Rudolph's of the world. Bringing in guys at wide receiver who they don't really need. So I like what they've done, managed to keep some players and restructure their contracts with Sterling Shepard and Blake Martinez. But Glowinski, John Feliciano, immediate starters for them unless they supplement with better players in the draft. Like a Tyler Linderbaum. Of course, we have Ike Mekwonu, maybe a Zion Johnson to plug left guard. I don't trust Shane Lemieux. A lot of people keep saying, how about Shane Lemieux? How about him at left guard? Keep in mind, he missed all of last season with a partially torn patellar tendon. And during his rookie season in 2020, he was one of the worst pass blocking guards in football. Can we really depend on him to be a starting level player? I personally don't think so. I'd rather bring in a guy that can compete and really, at least push him for starting snaps. Maybe you draft the guy in the mid rounds. I mean, he is a 5th round pick overall, so it's not like you're expecting him to be this great player. He missed a whole year last year of training, so like he's really just in his sophomore season coming off a significant injury, and he's not a Joe Shane draft pick, so he's already at a disadvantage. I do believe the Giants will try and supplement the left guard spot because we need a sufficient guy. We need a good, talented player to pair with Andrew Thomas. I don't want to be putting a Shane Lemieux next to Andrew Thomas. I want a good left guard who's going to make Andrew Thomas better and not force him to supplement another position like we have been in the past. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on Mark Glowinski and John Feliciano down below. Of course, these two players don't have the most experience as starters, but they have shown some good stuff on tape, as you saw there in the little clip I displayed for you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube as always, my friends, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants video.